Okay. Welcome everyone, and for those of you who don't know Lewis, this is Lewis Bird, and Lewis is Jenny and my son-in-law, and he's married to our eldest daughter, Gabrielle. This could be a bit of fun, Lou.
I'm nervous.
Questions are similar to last week's with a little bit of addition. Lewis, what was your childhood like and where did you grow up?
So I grew up here in the Central West. So my mum lived in Orange and my dad lived in Blaney here. So I went to public school in Orange and then transitioned out, went to Blaney High. Had a good childhood. Coming from a split parent background has its difficulties, I suppose. That brought its own challenges. Dad is awesome. He's the best. And Mum's awesome. She's the best. She suffers from really severe depression, I suppose, the easiest way to put it. A lot of trouble with alcohol and other things like that, which brought its troubles. But all in all, I had a good childhood. Played lots of sport.
Yeah.
Love rugby league.
Rugby league. So that's your passion, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rugby league. Tell us a little bit about what you've done in rugby league, just so everyone has a bit of, because I know a little bit, but the whole idea of these interviews is so everyone gets to know a little bit of the background of people that they wouldn't normally get. So tell me a little bit about your rugby league and what you did, because that was your escape, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Was that your escape?
Yeah, footy was, it was kind of, I could go somewhere and switch off, and I was often bigger than the other kids, so that made it a bit more fun. But grew up playing a lot of rep footy, just around Group 10 here, nothing really too exciting. Had a few trials down with the Sharks and things down in Sydney, but because of a concussion, wasn't able to continue on. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do work-wise, but knew that I loved sport and fitness, so I became a PT. So I was PTing for a couple of years.
Personal training?
Yeah, personal training. But it just wasn't the same as footy, so I don't know if Gab remembers this, but an opportunity come up with the Penrith Panthers through their Education Elite Performance Academy, and essentially they said you've got 2 days to decide if you want to come down and pursue rugby league as a coach and sports trainer. She's looking away because she didn't want me to go originally. So essentially I wasn't getting that sort of fulfillment out of personal training, so I said I'll go with rugby league, and the opportunity came up down with the Panthers. So I went down, completed my diploma down there, and did a strength and conditioning internship down there with the boys. From that we ended up moving down there, and I worked with the NRL as a development officer, doing stuff in schools and with athletes, taking them out to do visits and gala days, all sorts of stuff. And then from that I was lucky enough to then get appointed as the 17s assistant coach for Panthers for that year, and went on and coached that alongside some quite prominent footy players. And then we had the World Cup, which stemmed out of that because a lot of the coaches that were with Panthers were then doing the World Cup. No. So we did the World Cup. It was we had 3 weeks to prepare.
So you coached Samoa?
Yeah. So I was Samoa. So I was World Cup. We did Pacific Island, then I went to Samoa, and I was head coach there with under 16s, and then was an assistant coach with 18s and sports trainer for the men's and the women, but sort of oversaw the whole program because a lot of us were from Panthers. We ran at a 94.7% success rate across all of our men's and women's team
Awesome.
for Samoa. So that was awesome.
Excellent.
I was really blessed to have that opportunity.
Excellent. So tell me about your Christian background. When did you come to faith, and how did that come about?
So I didn't grow up in church. I was the furthest thing from church. But when I met Gabby, she said, church is important to me. And I said, well, you're important to me, so I'll come along to church, I suppose. And originally came for a few brownie points with the parents, try and get in the good books. No one wants their kid with a little rat bag.
Or a big rat bag.
Or a big rat bag. So that's literally how it started. Gabby just brought me along to here, and just from gradually sitting and learning and eventually opening up. Yeah,
So
just all started from that.
So you started coming here, and this was church home.
Yeah.
And then probably about 6 months or so, we invited you to come to Hillsong Conference. Is that?
Yeah, it was it would have been 6 months.
Yeah.
Hillsong Conference, and I seen like normal, I suppose, churches, but hadn't seen anything like Hillsong, especially not Hillsong Conference. So when I went down there, I was quite blown away because there was no one my age sort of coming along to church. So it was very strange for me to see other people my age like worshiping and really loving God and leaning in. And yeah, I was just overtaken there and made a decision down there at that conference, and all changed from there.
Yeah. Never looked back.
Never looked back.
Never looked back. So what's your Christian journey been like since that day? Since then? Easy? Hard?
Ups and downs. Had its challenges. So soon after Gabby and I were first, when we got married, she fell pregnant and we lost the baby throughout the pregnancy, and that was a really low, and I didn't really understand. I was kind of like, God, I've turned my life around. I've done what you've told me to do. I don't do that stuff anymore. That was a real low for me, but at the same time, I've had such massive highs. Like, we got 2 beautiful daughters.
Yeah.
Like, there's been so many prominent things where I just know God's had his hand on it and had his protection all over me. So
Yeah. That's good, mate.
Ups and downs, but more
That's
ups.
That's good. So the sports thing with the NRL, that finished, you moved back. Then you moved back down to Sydney again and started doing chaplaincy in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the opportunity, it was actually, we were fasting at the time through Hillsong, and I was driving to work and I was selling cars at the time. It was soon after we'd lost the baby, and I couldn't describe it for the life of me, but I felt God saying, like, I've got something for you working with youth and in schools, doing some speaking and stuff. And I was like, I don't know, but it kept happening, and I really felt God tell me to quit. And I was like, I can't quit. Like, Gabby's waiting, and I rang Gabby and I said, Gab, like, I'm just having a bit of a moment, like a spiritual moment now with God, and he's telling me to quit. And she said, are you sure? And I said, yeah. And she said, you sure it's a God thing? And I said, yeah, it's a God thing. She said, yeah, quit.
Wow.
And I went in it and I quit, and I wrote up my letter and I put it in and I quit, and I was so scared, and I rang George Danzy, who was the NRL chaplain, but someone who really took me under his wing when I moved down there. I said, George, I don't know what I just did, man, but I just quit. I just quit my job. He was like, no way, I just got out of a meeting to appoint you as the Eels under-20s chaplain. We've got an interview in 2 days coming up for you. And I was like, wow, like, God just had his hand on it, and I was so scared. When I quit, I was like, oh no, what have I done? And then 2 days later, had the interview, got the job that afternoon, and then George said, well, now you're a chaplain. Why don't you look into school chaplaincy? And within 2 weeks, I was in schools doing school chaplaincy, where I went on to be an area manager. Yeah. In the end, anyway. So
it's amazing, eh?
Yeah.
Amazing. So when you were down in Sydney, you started going to Hillsong Church and got on team down there.
Yeah.
It seems like you just keep putting your hand up for stuff, and God keeps using you. Is that pretty much how you see it, or?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, just for Gab and I, we've just sort of said wherever God wants us and whatever He wants us to do, that we'll do it. And
Yeah.
I think that comes from seeing you and Jen do it, and Glenda as well, and everyone in the church. I think whenever there's a need, someone will put their hand up. And we've just kind of taken that on as well. Wherever there's a need, we're happy to
Awesome.
put our hand up and just play our part.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. What's the toughest thing about living as a Christian? What is the thing that you find the toughest or the hardest?
I suppose just the little sort of decisions, doing the right thing when you don't always feel like doing the right thing, or doing when no one's around, still choosing to do the right thing and keeping yourself accountable and keeping yourself open and honest. Like a lot of my friends aren't Christians, so when they want to hang out, they want to go do their things, but it's hard for me to go around them and still keep my faith, keep my values, keep myself accountable and hold myself to the right level that I need to. So I think it's something that you just you're learning, you get better at each time. But you don't always. I suppose we're all human. We don't always feel like doing the right thing or going and helping out there when we have to, or doing the right thing for that person when they've done something wrong by us. But choosing to be Jesus-like and do what He did. Even in those moments where I suppose you're in the flesh and you don't really feel like you want to.
Yep. So, before you came to faith, which was at what age? You were 20...
About 20, 21.
20, yeah. 20, 21? I think about 21, wasn't it? Yeah. So how have you discipled or been discipled or learnt stuff, or what do you do now to learn more about God?
I just watch sermons on YouTube. I travel into Orange to work and back each day, so I'll listen to the sermon or a podcast. When I go to Dubbo, I will try and find a longer one just to listen to the whole time.
Yeah.
They're the main sort of things, and I just try and we connect with you guys and probably bug you guys a bit, but that's a spiritual thing for us. We get a lot off you guys, though we might not be always talking about God or whatever. That feeds us, and that's how I learned, just being around church and being in church.
Yep.
Just in little conversations. Even the other night at youth, like I felt like I was learning and soaking in new stuff there. So that's how.
Okay. Good. Because that was one of the things that came out in one of the messages yesterday at the conference, that it has been like the New Testament church in Acts. It talks about they devoted themselves, they being the people, devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the breaking of bread and prayer. And the one of the things that came out in the conference yesterday was that it's become evident that there's quite a lot of people that in COVID, when churches stop meeting, they are not doing that. They're not devoting themselves to their own spiritual growth and their spiritual well-being. They're not reading their Bible. They're not praying. They're not doing that sort of stuff. So that's really important to do that. And there's so many ways to do it now with podcasts and YouTube and stuff without church. But yeah, so that's really good.
It's hard because I've had to make myself more intentional about that sort of stuff, which I didn't have to before, because I knew if I didn't get to something through the week, I'd have church Sunday. And I'd top up there. But now I have to be really intentional. And Gabby's a teacher, so she keeps me strict. But we try and treat church at home the exact same and be really intentional about creating that space and making sure that we set aside that time.
There were some people that I was talking to that they used to get up and get dressed. They dress up as if they were going to church and watch church at home. You know, to try and make that it intentional, to make it that that way, so they're still trying to be connected and stuff. Okay, so what do you do for a living now? You since I've known you have had so many jobs, like and some of the jobs, like when you went to Penrith to the academy down there, you guys were living with us, and you would
stay with Eddie.
and you would drive down to Sydney and spend 3 days down there, sleeping in a swag on the floor at Annie's place, our other daughter, and then do the academy and then drive back, and then you would do stuff here. You would work here. You'd do security in pubs and stuff like that too. You've got such a good work ethic. One of the best I've seen for someone your age. I think that comes from your dad. But what job are you in now? This is job number 355, I think.
I was working 4 jobs when I was down at Panthers. Remember that? So I would leave at 4 Monday.
In the morning?
4 in the morning Monday. I would go down and I would do like college and sport until 3, and then I'd leave and I'd go work at a pub in Glenville. Is it
Glenbrook? No.
Anyway, I'd go work at a pub until 9, come back 9:30, sleep on the floor at Annie's, and then I would do that all week. Thursday I'd finish at 3, get home 6, see Gab. Friday I'd work at Kelso Public as a teacher's aide, and then Saturday and Sunday I'd do youth work over the weekend with Anglicare. It was full on. But, so now I'm a therapeutic house manager. So I have 3 Indigenous boys who are in the out-of-home care system that I look after and support. So that's kind of STEM. I've worked with youth for just over 10 years, on and off in schools and out-of-home care and swapping in and out. That's my work now, and I have my business on the side, which is Start Where You're At, which is domestic violence awareness and education workshops in businesses and sporting clubs, which will eventually, hopefully, cross over into schools. So channeling my energy into that. Not a million different jobs.
Okay, last question. What is your hope for the future? What do you see 5 years' time? How do you see that?
In a similar position work-wise, I think, in the out-of-home care, or I'd go work in the prisons as a service and program officer. I just want to, probably sounds a bit boring, but I just want to be a good dad. Be a good husband to Gab and learn more about God and be more involved and know more about God than I know. Now, that's kind of the main things. And obviously with the business, I hope it picks up, but I feel like those things can't pick up unless I'm a good husband and a good dad first and a good disciple. Excellent.
So, a role in church in the future, beside youth? You see something?
I've kind of just always left myself open to wherever God wants me to be and what He wants me to do. Love speaking, so that will eventually develop on, and we'll get enough of a go at youth. So
awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Lewis. That was really good. Give Lewis a hand, everyone. That was great, mate. You weren't nervous at all. Thanks. So we're going to finish there, guys. We're going to have some tea, coffee, some fellowship, something to eat, and I'll just put some music on in a minute. And so thanks for being with us this morning. Say good day to somebody that you maybe don't know. And once again, thanks for everyone for being here. and we'll catch you all during the week or next week.
See, I was trying to photo.
That was fun.